At 40, I find myself an English honors teacher in a secluded corner of the northern suburbs of Seattle. The streets draped in pine trees whisper secrets of youth, while my students, forever cloaked in hoodies, navigate their own hidden worlds. Here, lattes serve as my truest allies, offering warmth and comfort in a place where connection feels both vital and elusive. I'm bound to another. My husband is a wonderful man. Reliable, calm, always remembers our special day, never lets his voice rise in anger. In our little 3-bedroom house, the backyard holds whispers of secrets, just enough space for lavender to bloom, and an old wooden table that bears witness to our stolen moments on sunlit weekends. It feels like ages since I've truly laughed or lost myself in something that wasn't bound by my responsibilities. Perhaps that's when my heart began to flutter for Alex. Alex, 18, a senior, blends into the background, quietly longing for something just out of reach. He always occupies that second row from the front, right by the window, where the afternoon sun spills in, casting a warm glow that feels almost intimate. He's the kind of student who stays in your thoughts, a quiet presence that lingers in the air, stirring something deep within, even after the day ends. Unlike the other boys who laugh and play, Alex stands apart, a careful distance that commands respect and stirs curiosity about the secrets hidden behind his guarded gaze. I didn't notice him, not because it was wrong, but because my heart was too afraid to see. There was an intensity in his gaze, a depth that felt both mature and dangerously alluring, devoid of curiosity, rebellion, or flirtation. Silently there, heart racing, watching. And I, a woman who believed she had reconciled with her past, found myself lingering at the classroom door, my heart racing as I stole glances at that second row, captivated by a gaze that reminded me I was still alive. Alex began to stay behind after class, drawn to the unspoken connection that hung in the air. He often lingered after class, waiting for the others to disperse, approaching the teacher's desk with a mix of nervousness and excitement. Sometimes it was just a quick question about an essay, other times, a daring insight into the novel that felt like a secret shared between them. His voice held a depth that felt far too mature for a student. He wasn't pleading for a higher mark. He asked as if he truly yearned to uncover the hidden depths behind the words. I had lost touch with that sensation, the warmth of being truly heard, not out of obligation, but because someone saw value in my words. One Friday afternoon, as I gathered my books, Alex approached me, a printed poem by Robert Frost in hand, his eyes holding a secret that made my heart race. He whispered, "This one made me think of your words in class. When you spoke of that line, a deep longing for home stirred within us all. As I read, I could almost hear your voice whispering in my ear." I grasped the paper, my heart racing as I nodded softly. My fingers grazed the edge of the page, and my heart fluttered, not from the sweetness of his words or their hidden meanings, but from the ache of longing. It had been ages since someone held onto my words, even longer since someone chose to keep them close, like a secret meant only for us. From that moment on, I found myself paying extra attention to how I looked on the days Alex would be in class. Subtle yet alluring, a tidy bun, delicate earrings, and a whisper of lipstick, just enough to catch his eye without revealing too much. Just to experience a moment where I was more than just a title, where I could truly be seen. I convinced myself I was just acting, maintaining the distance that was meant to be there. Yet, in those moments when he spoke of Sylvia Plath or Gatsby, I found myself lost in his eyes, forgetting the lesson plan, consumed by the warmth of being seen for who I truly was, not just a role to play. Wednesday afternoon, the rain poured down, a soft curtain hiding the world since third period. Late autumn in Seattle wrapped the world in a soft, melancholic drizzle, as if the heavens were weeping for a love that dared not speak its name, a sorrow that clung to the heart like a secret longing. As the dismissal bell echoed through the air, the courtyard lay scattered with glistening puddles, each one a reminder of the fleeting moments shared beneath the rain. As I organized my lesson plans, the rain drummed softly against the window, a reminder of the moments I wished to escape into, just for a little while longer. Alex's fingers brushed against the edge of my desk, sending a shiver through me. "You're still here, aren't you? Even after everything we've been through." The unspoken words linger between us, electrifying the air. "It's a dangerous game we play, but I can't help but feel drawn to you, as if the world outside fades away when you're near." I nodded, my heart racing with unspoken words. He stayed against all odds. He didn't even mention the homework. He slid into the chair opposite me, the space between us suddenly charged, the familiar barriers of the classroom gone. We whispered about the world beyond our lessons, the novel he was lost in, Norwegian Wood, and the haunting melody he had just stumbled upon, motion picture soundtrack by Radiohead. He began to share stories of his family, a father who was rarely around, a mother whose worries consumed her, often overlooking the fact that her son had grown into a tall stranger. It was a haunting feeling, always there, yet never truly noticed by anyone. I sat quietly, and maybe it was that stillness that urged him to continue. In your class, I find a rare understanding that feels almost too precious to hold. I glanced up. Words escaped me, tangled in the weight of unspoken feelings. Not out of embarrassment, but because a feeling I had hidden deep within stirred, breaking free from the weight of roles, titles, and my own exhaustion. Text, I believe you sense it as well, he whispered, a hint of longing in his voice. Your eyes betray the moment. A line in the book wrapping around your heart, leaving you breathless. His voice was a gentle whisper, pure and sincere, carrying a weight of unspoken feelings. I let out a nervous laugh, attempting to hide the rush of feelings within me. But after a heartbeat, I whispered, you're right. Sometimes I lose sight of the fact that it's okay to feel weary and wounded. Outside, the rain kept falling, but inside, a storm of emotions had just started to brew. Softly, gently, tears slipped from my eyes, cascading into a depth I never knew existed. No words dared to tread where they shouldn't. Every word felt like a secret, perfectly aligned yet heavy with unspoken longing. In that hushed classroom where the yellow light danced through the rain, and the air was thick with the sound of our breaths, I felt it deep within me. The emotions began to wander into uncharted territory, a place where they shouldn't belong. The rain hung in the air, a bittersweet reminder of what could never be. Words were fleeting, and every moment felt like a stolen glance. Yet I couldn't help but linger, longing for that glance, yearning for the instant when the classroom emptied, leaving only the echo of his footsteps as he approached my desk. That day, I lingered longer than usual, drawn to the quiet of the empty room as I returned the papers, my heart racing with unspoken feelings. Alex lingered, the final heartbeat in a room filled with unspoken words. I leaned over the pile, my fingers trembling as I turned each page, his handwriting a steady whisper that sent shivers down my spine. My hand lingered over a quote he had chosen, a moment suspended in the air, charged with unspoken feelings. In a world that binds us, the only escape is to embrace a freedom so profound that simply being alive becomes a defiant act of love. Camus, a name that lingers like a whispered secret, igniting a spark of longing in the shadows of the heart. And a whisper that came just when it was needed most. I hastily jotted down a few thoughts in the margins, my heart racing with the thrill of secrecy. As I extended my hand to return the paper, our fingers barely touched, sending a jolt of electricity between us. It started as a mere accident, a fleeting moment, yet he lingered and I found myself unable to step back. I glanced up. Alex's gaze pierced through me, not as a student, but as if he were uncovering a hidden part of my soul that I believed was forever buried. He stood, inching closer to my desk, his breath brushing against my hair, igniting a spark of something forbidden between us. I should have pulled away, should have whispered a word, any word, but I stayed still, and in the silence that enveloped us, Alex hesitated, and I softly brought us back to reality. Not gently, not thoughtlessly, but with a passion that seemed too deep for our places in the world. A fire ignited within me, a secret yearning I knew I must keep hidden. As he drew near, a rush of longing surged within me, yet I felt the urgent need to pull away. Gentle and tender, a moment suspended in time. Yet it was so undeniable, I could no longer hide the truth of my heart. As I stepped away, my breath caught, a painful reminder of what we could never fully embrace. I held my tongue. I felt a rush of emotions, but anger never surfaced. I barely breathed. We've crossed a line we never should have touched. His silence spoke volumes through his gaze. Those eyes drew me into a silence so profound, where I ceased to be a teacher, ceased to be a wife, and became simply a woman who had just been seen in a way that stirred something long buried within me, yet knew it must stay hidden. That night sleep eluded me. I lay beside him, feeling the warmth of his presence, as he pressed a gentle kiss to my forehead before drifting into dreams, leaving a bittersweet ache in my heart. And I lay there wide awake between two worlds, one bound by obligation, the other ignited by a touch that felt so wrong yet so achingly real. I couldn't bring myself to deny it. I began to steer clear of those stolen moments after class. No more lingering over lesson plans. Each moment feels like a stolen glance, a secret longing waiting to unfold. Silence hung between us, heavy with unspoken words, as I sensed he was holding back something deeper. I kept the lessons the same, my eyes fixed ahead, even as my heart whispered otherwise. I took a step back, gentle yet unmistakable. It wasn't that I lacked feeling. It was the awareness that when your heart quakes in a place it shouldn't, each move forward tears at the fragile pieces of yourself you desperately want to shield. Alex remained silent, holding back the storm within. He arrived in class punctually, submitting his assignments with care, always settling into his familiar spot by the window, where the light danced around him, a bittersweet reminder of what could never be. Yet he never stepped closer again. We lingered in a silent, uncharted territory, a gap neither of us dared to name, yet both felt deeply within our hearts. One day he slipped a note onto my desk, untitled. No note. In that fleeting moment their eyes met, igniting a spark that felt both exhilarating and dangerous. The world around them faded, leaving only the weight of unspoken words and the thrill of what could never be. Hearts raced, caught in a dance of longing and secrecy, as they stood on the precipice of something beautiful yet forbidden. Some souls enter our world, igniting a spark that reminds us of the pulse of our hearts, even when the shadows loom large. I cling to those words, each reading a bittersweet goodbye, knowing they may never return. Not painful, just a gentle ache at the edge of my vision. Like a woman caught in a whirlwind of emotions, she whispers to herself that some feelings are genuine, yet not every truth must be pursued. My heart raced as I penned a single line beneath his words, a secret tether binding us in the shadows. Some truths linger like whispers, meant to brush against our hearts, never to settle within. Your honesty means everything to me. No signature. That was the final moment Alex stepped out of my classroom, leaving me with a heart full of unspoken words. In the stillness of the empty room, my lesson plans lay forgotten, lecture notes scattered like my thoughts. For the first time in ages, clarity washed over me, igniting a spark of something I dared not name. Some lines are drawn not by rules, but by the choices we make to protect our hearts. Not because our hearts were untouched, but because we understood the boundaries, ensuring no one else would suffer. I never imagined I'd revisit this tale, a delicate whisper of emotions, yet here I am, still searching for the right words to define it. A fleeting mistake, a hidden blessing, or just that instant when my heart stirred, caught in a web of longing where it shouldn't be. My heart aches with the memories, but I understand why I had to let go. Alex stood frozen, heart racing, caught in a moment that felt both electric and wrong. He simply waited, his silence heavy with unspoken longing. He slipped away as silently as he arrived, yet his presence lingered, an indelible trace on my heart. I couldn't pretend it hadn't happened. I held onto it like a secret, a fleeting moment of honesty, aware of the line I dared not cross. I share this tale not to romanticize the act of crossing boundaries, but to reveal the weight of its consequences. Feelings are undeniable, yet every action must be weighed with care. Maturity isn't about suppressing emotion. It's about navigating it gracefully, ensuring no one gets hurt, not even ourselves. I had my roles: an adult, a teacher, a wife, but Alex, a mere student, ignited something within me, a reminder that I am still alive, still yearning. Someone who can truly see me, who can feel the depths of my soul, and who understands the unspoken connection between us. The heart's awakening. What needs to be whispered in the shadows? In a world where rules reign, the heart whispers for something more, something that dances on the edge of what should never be touched. Feelings can sweep us away, but what we choose to do with them is ours alone. Sometimes, adults must rediscover that spark of emotion. There's a thrill in the air, a spark that ignites something forbidden. Yet, taking that one small step can lead to a world of heartache, where the echoes of our choices linger long after the moment fades. When you find yourself in a place of reverence, and a gaze lingers on you with an innocence that tugs at your heart, it's best to retreat into the shadows. It's not that you lack feelings, it's that you bear the weight of protecting both hearts. If you've ever been stirred by a moment that crossed a line, Take a moment to confront that truth within yourself. Don't push it away, but don't let it consume you either. Let it stir your heart, then allow that stirring to guide you toward what you truly desire. When you find yourself in the light of admiration, trust, or the gaze of innocence that belies their years, take a moment to retreat. It's not that you lack feelings, it's that you bear the weight of both your hearts. If you've ever been stirred by a longing that feels wrong, acknowledge it, but don't let it guide your steps. Let it be a whisper of your heartbeat, urging you to embrace life fully, to step forward without the weight of another's expectations holding you back. If you've ever felt a spark ignite in the shadows, a connection that shouldn't be, but was too real to dismiss, leave a single duh. Not to recount the tale, but to softly whisper to your heart that your feelings were never a mistake. It's all about how you choose to let it go. If you find meaning in tales that tug at the heart, that are raw and introspective, remember to like, subscribe, and share with someone who might need this whisper of truth. Emotions blaze like wildfire, yet it's the lines we draw that prevent us from turning to smoke.